Hi, thanks for being in a new video. This time I got my hands on the iPhone 15 Pro Max and I'm going to tell you what I liked most and least about it in case you're considering buying it. So as always, let me tell you, don't buy the iPhone 15 Pro Max without watching this video. As usual, remember that the full review is available in case you want to know it in more depth, as this will be a brief summary. If there is something that I do not mention, is because it is within what one might expect from a device of this range. Let's consider its launch price, which in Mexico was $28,999. On the screen you see the reference price in dollars. Also remember that the prices here are not the same as those there. Let's start with what I like the most. You can record directly to an external storage drive via the new USB-C port. That really opens up a lot of possibilities for you to even replace a larger and much heavier camera and still maintain excellent recording quality, because you can record in ProRes at the highest quality, and obviously those videos are too heavy, but if you connect a considerably large drive you can still record perfectly well. We all already know that the iPhone records with excellent quality, but now the fact that it allows you to record directly to an external drive opens up many more possibilities. Its water resistance certification is 6 meters deep. Although always in this aspect you have to remember that no manufacturer is going to make your warranty valid for water damage. However, it has a much better chance of surviving even greater depths compared to other devices that also have IP68. For some reason it has exactly the same name certification, but Apple in its technical details clarifies that this certification was obtained at 6 meters deep, unlike other devices that is 1.5 meters. It has True Tone on the screen. I always like to highlight this feature of iPhones because it is not very common to find in Android devices. If the environment is a little warmer, the screen will also get a little warmer, and if the environment is cooler, the screen will also get cooler. The point here is that the screen will always maintain a very natural tone compared to what we are experiencing in the environment, unlike most Android devices, which in some scenarios might see the screen very blue, or in some other scenarios might see the screen very yellow. The camera really is brutal. It takes very good selfies, very natural, excellent at night. Portraits with the 5x lens are a beauty, and also the preview before taking the backlit photo comes out very well. So all aspects of the camera make for a very high overall experience. In addition, the video recording quality is very high. To this day I think it is still the best device for recording video. Even the cinema mode of recording that blurs the background is virtually flawless. I have not seen any device with these capabilities, as this device does it in 4K, maintaining excellent quality, very good edge detection, and even the blur is diminished if you move away from the camera and intensifies if you are closer, just as it would happen in a professional camera. In addition to that, if you turn around or through the screen you touch the second plane, it also makes this change of focus as if it were a professional lens. The truth is that it is very good, even though we all know that it is through artificial intelligence and software. So it doesn't do it with 100% optical quality, but really within all the cell phones I've tested, this is the device that best records with this mode blurring the background. It gives you 7 years of updates. On the Android side, no device is going to match this policy yet, at least not within the famous devices. Also, Apple has a good reputation for updating quickly. It is true that lately their system has had a few glitches, bugs and errors, but in general Apple fixes these problems quickly, unlike the Android world where updates may be delayed. Their device finding feature is very advanced. Remember that iPhones stay findable even when they are turned off by connecting to the Apple device network. So, I think to date it is the most advanced system that helps you find your device in case you have lost it, unlike the Android side where implementations are much more simple. It already brings the charging lock to 80%. This option is for those who want to be much more careful with their battery. What I recommend in case you are one of this group of people is to enable this option and the device will stop charging when it reaches 80%. This way you don't overcharge the battery too much and therefore it won't degrade as fast as what we might see on devices without this option. In fact, in past generations it has been a problem that several users have reported the rapid degradation of their batteries, but with this option I think it is much easier to prevent it from deteriorating as quickly. The Apple ecosystem coexists perfectly with each other. You know the Apple Watch is going to interact very well. The AirPods are also going to have the highest quality. The iPad with AirDrop, the Mac, absolutely everything coexists well. And for gaming, it's also very powerful because it now supports ray tracing, so it generally supports very high qualities at high rates. Although it's true that it doesn't have as much cooling and that could work against it at times, but the processor has very high capabilities to be able to run very high quality games. In fact, also being an iPhone developers give it much more priority, and today we can see exclusive titles for iPhone that are not found at the moment on Android or that will take a long time to be released available for download on Android. While here everything is much more optimized and generally has greater graphical compatibility and greater support for a high frame rate per second. But now let's get to what I didn't like. The new titanium frames stain very quickly. Although it is true that if you use a case this will go unnoticed, but compared to previous generations I think this finish feels dirtier. You have to be cleaning it constantly. Also, according to some tests circulating on the internet, the glass on the back cover could break more easily. If you want high-resolution wireless audio, you necessarily need AirPods. Unlike other Android devices that have support for high-resolution codecs that you can find in headphones of various brands. In contrast, the iPhone only supports SBC and AAC codecs which are more basic, and for high resolution they reserve an exclusive Apple code that can only be used in AirPods and possibly in some bits. For me the camera is hopeless because when switching modes you have to go one by one and you can't switch quickly. This may seem like something very insignificant, but believe me, after having tried other devices where the experience is more agile, definitely that here you feel a slower experience when you are switching between some mode or to access the full camera settings because you have to exit the app, go to the settings app, swipe to the camera section and there finally see the settings. So I think the camera experience with respect to software and options is much less developed compared to what we see in Android proposals with more options and everything much easier. In fact, it doesn't have professional mode neither in photography nor in video. Although remember that for this you could get to buy applications from the App Store, but obviously you have to consider the payment you have to make, and many of these applications are not a single payment, but you have to pay an annual or monthly subscription. Portrait photography and selfies is not always accurate. This is very curious because in the cinema mode, video recording where it blurs the background is very accurate even with the front camera, but in photography for some reason not. So there are some objects that are out of focus anyway as if they were farther away, and that makes the photograph lose naturalness. During the nights the reflections of the lights are generated very strange. These both in photography and video, and could become something a little annoying as there are other devices that work in a better way these reflections. Slow motion falls short against the competitors. You can only get to some of the bigger ones. You can only get to 240 frames per second in Full HD, which is not bad at all, but there are other devices that support a super slow motion of 960 frames per second, or even other devices that go beyond that for even more spectacular shots. The fast camera does not record in 4K. This definitely for me is unacceptable, especially because Apple is one of those manufacturers that if they let you record in 4K with all lenses, be it the rear camera, the front camera, the ultra-wide camera or the periscope camera, but it is very strange and very curious that the fast camera can only be in Full HD. It also doesn't have a dual recording mode, although again there is probably some other app for this, but you have to buy it separately. This would allow you to record with the main camera and the front camera at the same time to have a scene from both sides, and is a feature we usually see on many Android devices, but not here. It also doesn't bring the split screen feature to use two apps at the same time. It seems that Apple has long resisted integrating a similar option on the iPhone, so the options to multitask and take advantage of this very large screen are very limited. We really only have picture-in-picture mode to keep watching some movie, series or video while we leave the app and do other things. But on Android we have not only split screen but also floating screens with many apps at the same time. It does not have a fingerprint reader. This is a detail that many people will surely miss because in the Android world we are very used to have fingerprint reader quickly, and this allows you to register not only your fingerprints but perhaps fingerprints of trusted people who could also get to quickly unlock your phone, but in this case it is very common that you have to show your face to unlock it and then they can use it. No charger or case is included in the box. The fact that it doesn't include a case can still be forgiven, but the fact that it doesn't include a charger definitely bothers me too much. You have to buy the charger separately, although fortunately it supports the power delivery standard, so if you buy a charger compatible with this standard, it should also charge quickly and safely. It takes too long to charge, almost 2 hours. This is definitely going to feel very slow compared to the times we find in the Android world, which on many occasions is less than an hour. Although the part that takes the longest is when you are about to finish the last 5% because the load gets exaggeratedly slow. Even my test of 15 minutes of charging did not manage to recover too much, only 20%. So here I think it does fall far short of what you can find on Android, that on many devices in 15% already reached 50%. The iCloud system does not convince me much. For some users it could be a bit confusing, its configuration to know what is on the phone and what is in the cloud, and could give them some uncomfortable experiences. The ecosystem is totally closed, so yes, you must have Apple products. It is true that you will be able to connect to some products from other brands, but the performance and functions are very limited compared to what you can do with all Apple products. So you should always be aware that if you buy an iPhone, you will probably have to buy more products of the same brand to keep you with a good performance. And it doesn't keep applications running in the background. I don't mean that when you go back to the application it has restarted, but that you can't really leave almost anything running in the background. For example, if you're exporting a video, you have to stay in that application, because if you exit it and go to another one, that export process is going to be cancelled. The same thing will happen if you are uploading some documents to the cloud and you exit, they will be cancelled. Unlike Android, where many applications launch an active notification, and right there you can see the progress, and that is not cancelled at any time. So here it is simply a difference in operating system, but it is quite uncomfortable if you are already used to how Android works. But if you already bought it, let me know in the comments your opinion. Remember to tell us absolutely everything about your experience. Tell me a list of what you like the most and what you like the least, so that in case other people are considering buying it, they can also read your experience and make the best decision. For the moment, we have reached the end of this video. If you liked it, you know you can let us know, and we'll see you next time.